Got to get it, Papa. Well, here I am in the famous, world famous secret Look Dat headquarters. But you might notice that there's some other extra signage over here. And you're probably thinking, "Ma, I didn't know I put that on the wall there. I don't know what that is." Well, it's a sign. It's a real sign, and it's a result of some other signs. And basically, let me cut to the chase here. Recently, on the internet, there's been all kind of excitement, and I don't know why, but there's always some excitement going on. Most of it's stupid, but this one, it's like all about this. My Girl. That was a movie, came out a few years ago. And for some reason, it's this thing. It's a sad movie. It's got some sad parts. It's got some good, happy parts and all. Overall, it's a very entertaining movie. Very good, award-winning and all of that. So yeah, they had some kind of videos. I don't know if you ever watched this kind of stuff. I really don't understand why anybody would want to spend a lot of time watching this stuff. And they have videos. People put videos out there of them, like me, watching a movie, and all you do is look at me to see what I do. And it's like I'm watching and that's interesting. Oh, let me have some popcorn here. Let me have my snack, and and then they go, oh, it's a scary movie. Every once in a while they go, and stuff like that. It's like, I don't get it. But in this case, for this movie, it's all people crying. And the only reason I know about it is because people have told me about it, but I haven't watched any of it myself. It's like, why do I need to watch somebody watch a movie? I don't understand. But anyway, that's a thing, I guess. It's one of them things. So, anyway, you're probably saying, well, I still don't understand why you got that on there, you. First of all, let's see, let me bring in a couple of friends of mine from years past. If you hang on just a minute, I'll bring them right on in. Hang on. Okay, y'all, come on in. Come in. Look, this is the secret Look Dat headquarters. Isn't it wonderful? Look how wonderful it is. And there they are. There's my friends. And you're probably saying, well, I don't know how they got to be your friends because they made out of cardboard. Yeah, well, yeah, right here, they're cardboard. And, but they're here for a reason. Along with that thing. And along with this. My giant VHS box of the same movie. Look that! Look that! You ought to see the player that this goes in. But anyway, yeah, and you see it is award-winning and everything. It's a funny and moving family film. Okay, that's the key thing. A funny and moving family film. And let me put this back in the secret Look Dat holder. VCR holder. I got my friends, I got all my stuff here because there's some things I can explain about the movie to you. Well, I don't know how you can explain nothing, you stupid you. Okay, well look, just sit down and I will explain. Many, many years ago, in a place far, far away from the Look Dat secret headquarters that didn't even exist back then, I lived in Florida. And when I lived in Florida, I did some work on some movies and some commercials and stuff like that behind the scenes. Whatever, mopping the floors and stuff mostly. I lived in Orlando, Florida. Not too far away from Universal Studios is. Back when it was still kind of new. See, it was a long time ago. That was like that early 1990s, like 1990 and a little bit beyond that. Anyway, so when I worked there, when I lived there, I worked on some movies and stuff. Well, wouldn't you know? I heard a friend of mine told me about this because we used to all keep in touch about what's going on. You know, you got any work? I'm starving over here. I need something. And a friend of mine told me about the My Girl movie. And I said, well, I'm going to get me a piece of paper and bring it over there. And I walked in and I found out where the office was. And I walked in and I said, here I am. And look at that. And they promptly showed me the door. Then I came back after a while and I kind of pretty much said, hello, how are you doing? My name is Bark, and I'm looking for some work. Basically, I had a background from school in art and graphic design and drafting and stuff like that. So they said, well, you look like just a person we need. And I thought it was talking about somebody else, but they were talking about me. And so I actually ended up working on the My Girl movie. I wasn't in it, I was behind the scenes, but I was an assistant to the props department. So it was fun. It was very cool because the movie, if you ain't never seen it, it's set I think in 1972, 73, something like that. And so that happened to be about the same time that I was actually their age. So it's kind of like it's a movie. I could have been in the background as a little kid, you know. But anyway, so it's like, oh well, that's gonna be cool. That's fun. So it's like, well, I don't know what you could have done in that. I wish you would keep your negativity to yourself, because I'm just gonna explain it. Anyway, so yeah, doing props and stuff. They hired me out. I wasn't there all the time. I was there on certain days, especially when they had big things going on. They needed extra hands because they had so much stuff they had to deal with. One thing that was interesting that I worked on was, okay, back in the 70s, when the movie takes place and when I was little, we used to be able to ride our bikes all over the place. We'd ride our bikes all the time. They didn't have creepos, you know, sitting in the side of the road going, hey, kids, you know, they didn't have that back then that I know of. And so you ride your bikes all over. In the movie, the kids ride bikes all the time. In the movie, like both the kids, the main characters, rode bikes. They each had their own bike. And there's even a special scene that takes place about one of the bikes. So the two bikes for the kids were called the hero bikes. And that usually happens with a lot of props and stuff. You have your hero items, your hero props, and then you have the background props and other secondary type things. Okay? Well, I don't understand that, me. Hang on. Okay, the hero ones look exactly the way the director, the prop people, everybody wants them to look for the characters. Okay? If they're brand new, they look brand new. They'll have a price tag on them and stuff like that. If they're supposed to be beat up, they're a little bit beat up and everything. But they got to stay just so for the whole time they're filming the movie, which could take, you know, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, depends. But they have to stay the same way. Otherwise, it's going to look weird when you're watching a movie and the bike's clean one day and it's dirty and then it's clean again and you don't know what's going on. So they keep all that consistent. Well, when I started, it's like in addition to the main characters, they had a lot of other kids in the background and stuff riding their bikes around. And they had a great big pile of old bicycles, and literally a pile. And they said, you know, we got a bunch of kids in this movie that need bikes. Most of them are going to be in the background. And we got our hero bikes. We do need a couple that look like the hero bikes from a distance, but they don't have to be perfect. They just have to kind of look like them, because when they They show the kids up close, you can tell who they are. But when they're 2 blocks away, you can't really see too good who they are. It just has to look like them. So that's when they would get like a stunt guy or something to put a little wig on and ride around on the bike. Because you can't really tell, it's too far away. So one of my jobs was to put together 2 bikes that resembled the hero bikes for the main characters out of this pile of bicycle parts. And also, if I could put any other bikes together and make them rideable, that was good. So that's one thing I did, and it was fun. It was it was parts of it were kind of labor intensive, but I ended up with a pretty good handful of bikes that they could use for the main characters and for the other characters. So when you see the bikes riding around, when you see the close-ups where it shows the handlebars and all that close-up, that probably was not one of the ones I worked on. When you see them far away, the kids jumping off and throwing their bikes on the ground and stuff like we used to do, that's probably one of the ones I worked on. So I say, what about it? Well, so what else? If you know about the movie, basically it's set, the majority of it is set in this big old house. And in the movie, the house is a funeral parlor. This is in the 1970s, and this is something that happened, still happened back then, is you'd have the big old Victorian looking house for a funeral parlor, and the family that ran it might actually live in the building, in the old house, in a section of it. That's what happened in the movie. It was called the Sultenfuss Parlor, and the setting for this was up north, but they filmed it in Florida, Central Florida. And the thing is, what happened in 2021 is that the house came up for sale, the actual house that they filmed at. And there's a little confusion about it, because some people said they filmed in the house, and it's like, nope. Then when they opened the door, they might have been standing right inside the door, but otherwise they didn't film much at all inside the house. They filmed outside the house. They filmed in the front yard, in the side yard, in the backyard, all around outside. And so that part's accurate. But anyway, so the house is still there. As far as I know, the house is still there, and it may not have been sold. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it kind of popped up, and I was like, wow, the My Girl house is for sale. That also piqued my interest. Besides the people crying boo-hoo watching it on the TV, and the house came up for sale, so I said, it's time to set the record straight. Give everybody a little secret background. The movie itself was set in this little town up north somewhere, and it was filmed in and around the Orlando area, greater metro area. And the house itself is if it's still there, I think it is, and then you might be able to buy it if you really want to. It's a beautiful building. But anyway, it's located in Bartow, which a town I really like because of the cool name, but it's Bartow, Florida. And that's kind of southwest of Orlando. But there are other locations too. There's a lot of scenes where the kids are riding their bikes, and they're riding their bikes downtown in their little town. And the downtown parts of it, the streets and the buildings, and there's a doctor's office they go to and stuff like that. That was filmed in Sanford, Florida, like Fred Sanford kind of, but not really. But yeah, Sanford, Florida. Well, I don't know where that is. I don't have an atlas here. Okay, well, slow down a minute. Let me tell you. Sanford is just north of Orlando. So they're pretty far apart for them kids to be riding their bikes from the house downtown when it's, I don't know, probably 2 hours drive on the interstate with the traffic backed up. But in the movie, it's just a few blocks. It's a small town. Movie magic. And there's more movie magic I'm going to talk about too. So yeah, so you had those different locations, and if you remember what I said about the house, is that it wasn't, the inside wasn't filmed inside the big house, the real house in Bartow. So where was it filmed? You ask yourself. Well, it was filmed actually not far from Universal Studios, the insides of the house, the interiors, to use the correct jargon. The interiors were filmed on what could be called a sound stage, except it wasn't really a sound stage. So it's like, what was it? It was interesting because then that's where the office was that I went to with my resume and all, and credits, and got a job. But that was like the art department was located there. It was in, basically not in a soundstage, but it was in a big warehouse building that I think originally was like a distribution warehouse, something like that, and not very far away from Universal. And if the information was correct back then, see, this is like 1991, something like that. The information was correct. That same warehouse was used to film scenes from Jaws 3D. I'm pretty sure that was the word behind it. But I don't know what happened to that place. That it wasn't an old warehouse, it was a new warehouse, big concrete floors, very high ceilings, and just wide open and everything. And whatever the distribution place idea fell through or something, so they'd rent it out. And I don't know what it is now. I think the building is still there though, but I don't know if they use it to film stuff in anymore. It might actually be a warehouse now. But it's a big building. It had office space and everything. The art department could set up in there and everything. Perfect. It really was perfect. And it's centrally located right near the interstate, so you could hop on there and go to Bartow. You could hop on there and go up to Sanford, wherever else you needed to go. And not too far from the airport and all that. Perfect. So anyway, it's like, well, I'm telling you all this, but do you believe it? You should believe it. And because once all this stuff started happening and I started looking around and I found my friends packed away, I decided I better go check down in the Look Dat vault annex and see some of my records back there. So I got some stuff to show you. So hang on for a second while I retrieve that. And here it is. But yeah, this is my you can tell it's really ancient and everything. This is my secret Look Dat, pre-Look Dat movie archive. And if I flip through here, I can find some pictures of what was going on. Oh wait, that's almost there. Because I had a few things I worked on back in the olden days, and they're in this book. Here it is. Here we go. So hang on. I'm gonna go through these pictures. Look that! I'm gonna go through these pictures and describe what's going on in these, so you can get a real good idea behind the scenes on a movie like My Girl. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep hitting children. But yeah, hang on. I'm gonna tell you about some of these things. And here it is. Yep, that's the front of the actual Sultenfuss Parlor house in the movie. That's how it looked in the movie. Over to the left a little bit, you can see the sign in front. You can see how big the house is. The actual house is huge, and it's got that really cool wraparound porch and everything. The corners of it are round. They're really neat. It's a really neat house. And here's my picture of the house, kind of from the corner. That's some police guys. They were directing traffic and stuff like that out in front. And you can see over to the right, you can see a bunch of stuff on the ground there. That's all movie stuff for lights and equipment and stuff like that. And you can also see a cool window unit upstairs. Here's another picture of the front porch, and you can see there's somebody on the front porch and there's a table with a bunch of stuff on it. That is the craft services area, which I don't know if they call it that anymore. Back in the olden days, in the 1990s, it was called craft services. And basically, that's where the snacks and the drinks and the coffee and stuff like that are for the cast and crew while they're filming. Because they were actually filming, I think that day they were filming in the back, maybe in the backyard. There's some scenes in the movie of them having like a cookout, and they're using a picnic table and everything. And so this is the front of the house. So you could set stuff like that up, leave it there all day, and it wouldn't be in the way of them filming in the back. You always kind of have to hide stuff. You find out which angles, which directions they're shooting, and you try to hide stuff from where the camera is going to be, so you don't cause problems and have to move and relocate and all that. And here it is. This is the actual set of the house. Looking at the front porch there, and that's what it looked like inside the giant warehouse. You can see it's just a big old empty warehouse. So they built the entire first floor on the sound stage. And when you walk in that front door, you feel like you're inside the actual house. It was amazing. It was one of the coolest sets I've ever looked at. Look Dat! There I am, as a young fellow trying to be cool, standing on the stairway just inside the door. When you walk in the front door of the house, this is what you would see. In the movie, it looked a little bit different because, first of all, I wasn't in there in the way. And the other thing that looked different was in the middle of the hall, they had that, it's like a plywood box with a long pole and a light bulb on top. That wasn't in the movie either. Yeah, when you go straight down that hall, you see those little doors, and there's one of them's open. Those doors go into where the family part of the funeral home is. And there's a little sign above it. I think it said private or something like that. Now we're standing back by where that box with the light on it is, looking toward the front door, out the front door. And there's all kind of stuff in this picture you can notice, which is kind of funny. But you see that the door's wide open. You look outside, and that's a big picture. Basically, it's a big photo of the street across the way from the actual house. And it's just like a big old giant poster. They hang it up, and if somebody opens the door, looks out, you'll see the street and everything, and it looks like it's outside. Through that open door, you can see the stairs and everything in that big hallway. Through the door, the big opening with the drapes on it, that's kind of part of the parlor area. And it's where you'd sit and, you have your box of Kleenex and all that during the funerals. We're standing in the actual room that the funerals would take place, where they'd have the casket and all that stuff. Over to the left, you can see there's a little stand, and it's got that's where they put the little book for you to sign in. And but look at the ceiling in here. Look that! Look that! There's not much to see, and there wasn't anything to see much in reality, because this room has no ceiling, and the one behind it didn't have a ceiling either. The one where the sofa is in and all that. Now we're standing in that parlor room where the big sofa was and all that, looking back toward the actual viewing area. I forgot what they call that, the room. And you can see in the back there's a little white casket, and you got to watch the movie to see what happens with that. Anyway, you can still see the little chandeliers hanging down and stuff like that from way up high, because there's no ceiling. But it's got everything, just like a real funeral home. You see up toward the ceiling, the fake ceiling, those white boxes, those are speakers, so that when they'd have a funeral, you could, if they had a microphone or they play the organ music or whatever, you could hear it. Just like a real funeral home. Had the wooden floors, had the big oriental rugs and everything. And this is the main office, and
you can see it was jam-packed, just like a real office would have been. It's been there for years and years and years, and have done, who knows, hundreds of funerals and all. But they got the desk and everything. That's how you can tell it's an office. And you see that thing right in front of the desk between the chairs? That's a little cigarette ashtray. And they got some file cabinets and all that, and all the important books and papers and certificates and all that good stuff. And when you turn and look the other way, like you standing, see, I got to stand right behind the desk when I took this picture, but don't tell anybody. But anyway, so you look in the other way, and that's what the office looked like on the other side of the room. But if you look over on the right, you'll see on top of that cabinet, there's like a little chamber ting, and I think that's the kind of deal you put ashes in or something like that. It's like a sample. And I think there might be another one up on the shelf toward the left, way in the back over that fern there. You see a kind of a boxy looking thing. But also to the right, you can see through that doorway, and the stuff way in the background, that's in that hallway in the middle of the house. This was on the other side of the house from the funeral parlor part itself, and the viewing room and all that. And if you go to the right through that door, straight to the right, you get to this room. Yep, this is the showroom, and it's showtime. Yeah, here I am. And if you've seen the movie, you know what happens in here right at the beginning of the movie. But I don't want to tell you, because if you hadn't seen it, you're not going to watch it. You got to watch it to see that you. And it involves a bunch of the kids. So there. And now we're in the back part of the house. It's just like the family area, the private area. And you see those double doors back there. When you go through those, that's what goes into that main hallway. You could see them all the way from the front door. It's typical old house. You had the main hallway that ran down the middle, and so that from the front door, it's a straight shot all the way back to here. But this is where the family would hang around, and they'd play pinochle and cards and dominoes and all kind of stuff, and watch TV. You see, you got the big TV over to the right, and the little chair, that little kind of greenish sort of chair. I believe that, if I remember right, that was Grandma's chair, the grandma. When you turn over to the right, look that. There it is. There's the TV again, so you know it's on the right of that other picture. But that's where the dining room and the kitchen was. You can see it was kind of neat the way they did it. It was all wide open. They just had the little brackets at the top and made it kind of fancy looking and all. Yeah, they had the dining room, and they had the big table they could eat at. And in the kitchen, they had a little table, except I think they changed that little table in the kitchen. This was before they had started filming inside the house. And so some of these things got moved around. They set it up, and then they kept looking at it, and every once in a while they change their mind about something and move it. I think that table actually changed by the time the movie got made. And here's looking kind of from the corner. You can see the dining room table there. And they had that cool Lazy Susan deal in the middle of the table. You put your chips and cheese and all that kind of stuff on and spin it around. But in the background, you can see the big couch and all that. And that part in the middle, that kind of triangle-shaped part, is on the other side. That's where the TV is. But you can see they had all the fancy appliances in 1970s with the refrigerator and all that. And look that! Look that happy fella. He's fixing him a pie or something. And it looked like he left the bread out on the table, which actually in this picture you can see that's the kitchen table, and it's different. That's the little table in the kitchen, and it's wooden now instead of that kind of white finish on it. But and then behind me is the back door to the house. That's how you get out on the back porch and get out in the backyard and all that. So look that. Well, you're probably saying, Oh, well, looking at the first floor is pretty nice and everything, but I thought there was a 2-story house there with a big old attic on top. And you would be correct. There's a main floor, there's a second floor, and in the real house there's an attic, but in the movie they don't show that dim. But in the movie, they show something that the real house doesn't have, a cellar. But first, we're going to take a walk up the stairs and go see what they have upstairs in there, so you can see that. So right off, we get upstairs, and this is what it looked like. It was in another part of the warehouse, kind of across the way. So to go upstairs, you'd actually walk across the big concrete floor there and get to the upstairs where the bedrooms were. And you can see over to the left there, that would be the front of the house, because it has that little balcony that kind of stuck out over the front porch. And they put the railings up and everything because on the inside of that room, you might get a little glimpse of railing and stuff. And then plus they'd have the fake background with the trees and stuff from across the street. Then if you look close, everything's lined up like it would have been on the real house. You look toward what would be the back of the house, and you can see the hallway there with the top of the stairs coming up. And otherwise, you see how the walls are just unfinished. But look that! That's the one of the bedrooms upstairs. I think this was might have been Grandma's room. I didn't get a picture of all the bedrooms and everything because some of them didn't have anything in them yet. They weren't all finished yet. But to the right, you see that's the hallway where the stairs come up, and then there's the bedroom over on the side there. And then here's the bedroom up in the front. And this was Dan Aykroyd's room, if I remember right. This was his room all fixed up, and he had the big bay window and all that in the middle. This is kind of not a real great picture, but it's all I got, me, and all that's gone anyway. Yeah, everything you've been watching, all these rooms and stuff, they're gone. The only thing that's still there is the house itself. But anyway, this is in the bedroom looking a different direction. And you can see there was a closet over there, and you can see out into the hallway, which would have been where the stairs come up. Oh yeah, since this is a funeral parlor, of course it is jam-packed with ghosts. So yeah, in the center of the picture there, you can see the little chest of drawers, and there are some ghostly reflections on it. But above that, there's a mirror hanging on the wall. And just to the right of that, oh, what's that weird image on the wall? It's a reflection of light off the mirror. Spooky. And like I said, the actual house in Florida, as far as I know, it does not have a basement. It's in Florida. It's like Louisiana. It's like 2 feet above sea level. So you can't do too much as far as basements go, especially in an old house. But anyway, in the movie, they do have a basement. And the basement is where all the really fun stuff happens in a funeral parlor. In this case, you come down the stairs, and you see those gray stairs a lot in the movie. Look down it's kind of like a little hallway. Look down there toward the back, and you see all the little carts, the little collapsible cart things that you put the caskets on and all that. There's a couple of them in there and some other stuff. If you look down that hallway, on the right-hand side wall, you see kind of it looks like a big opening. That was basically like a big dumbwaiter that you could put a whole casket in with somebody inside and bring it up and down. And it would go upstairs and pop out by where the showroom is. Look over to the right again. And you see they have that big machine. That's a mimeograph machine for y'all youngsters that don't know about such technology. I think that table was the table that had been in the kitchen. And that's one of the things they switched. I think they moved it into here. This is the other side of the basement. And this was the real fun room. At this point, when I went and got a picture of it, it wasn't. They didn't have everything in it yet. But in the movie, you can watch them embalm people and work on their fixing their makeup and stuff up and all that stuff in this room. That's that's where all that fun stuff is. So they don't have the big table or anything or any of the machines and stuff to do all that embalming stuff to people. But this is where it happened, and this was in the basement too.
And that's about it. That was quite a shockwave. But I hope y'all enjoyed seeing those behind the scenes photos. They are ancient pictures. They were done with a film camera, so you know, the quality is okay. Sometimes there was lights, sometimes there wasn't lights and all that. But I hope y'all enjoyed seeing those behind the scenes. This is Look Dat exclusive material. So yeah, we had the Look Dat archive there. But in addition to the Look Dat archive, there's something else. Hang on, because this is something very special. You talk about a Look Dat exclusive. You ain't seen no exclusives more exclusive than this. Exclusive. I'll be right back. Yep, I had to go down and get the secret, super exclusive case down in the Look Dat vault annex, and you'll see what's in here. These are some things that I saved from working on the movie, and it's just a couple of things from the movie. If you remember, this stuff was not from the funeral parlor house, but there was a scene and I'll tell you, it's like I said, a couple of times they needed extra people and stuff like that because they had big scenes. There was the scenes at the carnival. They had a lot of extras, and everybody had to have vintage early 70s stuff, and so we had to distribute all that kind of stuff to everybody and everything. So that was fun. And they did that at the Central Florida Fairgrounds. There's a couple of things in here I had. Let me whip out the special Look Dat archive glasses. This, now, when you're working on movies, each day that you are filming, they have something that's called a call sheet. Now, it's changed a little bit over the years, but basically a call sheet was a big piece of paper, and it told what the day was, all the information about that day, and then listed what the scenes were that were going to be filmed, and the characters and the actors and all, you know, extra stuff like that. If they had anything special to do, they'd have a little place for that. And like I said, it's basically a big sheet of paper everybody would get. And if they were good, that you get that the day before so you could figure out what was coming. So, for that, the night at the, let's see, which one was this? I was thinking this is a different one. This, by the way, this is like a miniature version of the call sheet. I don't want to show it too close because it has secret information on it. Exterior carnival. Okay, this is at the carnival. Exterior goldfish throw. So this was actually, I was thinking this is from the bingo hall. No, this is actually from the carnival. And they had the merry-go-round in the background and stuff like that. So it talks about all the extras and stuff. And in case you didn't know, and I may, hopefully I don't mess up the names, but you know, that's how it goes with me. But on the cast, the main characters, we had the adults. We had Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis. Then, especially in this scene and everything, the real main characters were Macaulay Culkin. Recognize him? That's how he looked in Home Alone, because that came out literally while My Girl was being filmed. Is when Home Alone 1 came out, and it took off. And then Anna Klumsky, I think I'm saying that right. Sorry if I'm not. But that was, if I remember right, that was her first movie. So it was fun working with them. It's like they were kids. It's like you know, it was fun. But anyway, so yeah, they were all at the carnival part. But that's what this was. And it's so tiny, it's hard to read, even with my super absorbent glasses and all. But yeah, it was at it tells the location and everything. I'll tell you the dates and everything too. This was, the day and date is Saturday, February 23rd, 1991. The day of the shoot was 30. They've been shooting for 30 days at this point. So it spanned the holidays. Let's see. And it was those scenes were at night. So the crew call was at 4 p.m. Not too bad. You get spin, sleep late and all. You get up at 4 in the afternoon and go to work. But then they also note the sunrise and sunset that day, because you're going to be there all night. It was located at the Central Florida Fairgrounds. Let's see, in Orlando. That's all the pertinent information on there. But that's some cool stuff. But what I have in here is something that's secretly very cool. Well, I don't understand why you say that. Nothing else is cool around here. Okay, this is cool. Like I was saying, there was a scene playing bingo, the big tent, and there was a little church next to it, which I think you catch a glimpse of the church, but you see the inside of the tent and everything. And when the main characters, I say the main adults, Dan Aykroyd, Jamie Lee Curtis, go kind of on a date. Oh, don't look at that. They go on a little date and go play bingo. So that's the way people used to do stuff back in the 70s. Hey, that's big fun. So they go play bingo. Well, okay, we filmed. That was another one that was at night. I think we filmed it 2 nights in a row. Did the bingo stuff. And when we were completely done with it, everybody turns everything in. You pack all the stuff up, all the props, all the bingo balls, all the cards, and whatever they're saving. You pack all that up and put it away, and then you move on to the next thing. But so at the end of everything, everybody was walking out, and as we had an 18-wheeler, a big tractor trailer that all the props and stuff were in, or most of them, the small stuff. We had drawers with all kinds of stuff in it and everything. And so we were putting stuff up in there, and everybody was walking by. The back of the truck was open, and I'm at the back of the truck taking a nap or something probably. And who should walk by but Dan Aykroyd? And I said, "Hey there, partner, here I am." And he looked at me and ran away. But then he decided to come back. No, he didn't really run away. He looked in and said, he said, "Wait, let me turn this in." And in his pocket, in the movie, he smoked. Everybody smoked in the 70s. Not everybody, but a lot of people did. That was a common thing, so don't get all weird. But, and in the movie, he smoked. And look what he turned in. Yep. And it's a genuine fake pack of vintage Salem cigarettes. But these were Dan Aykroyd's cigarettes in the movie. And when they finished the bingo parlor ting, he stopped by and turned them in. It's like if they needed them again or what. We had a bunch of these. That's one of the things I did work on, was making fake packs of cigarettes too. We had all the wrappers. They were all printed. And you get a real pack of cigarettes and unwrap it. This one, I don't remember if we had the silver part or not. They used to have that foil. I don't know if they still do or not. But anyway, and it had a little seal over the top. If you remember that about old cigarettes, I don't know if they do all that anymore. But anyway, that's what a pack of cigarettes from around 1972 would have looked like. And these were Dan Aykroyd cigarettes from that scene. And they turned them in, and it's like we were going to use them again. So I was like, well, here I go. And they went in my pocket. And I still have them today. And I keep them in the Look Dat secret annex, and keep them safe down there. so nobody wanders off with them or tries to smoke them or something. Being 1991 to today, that's how many years plus? Anyway, my math ain't too good. But that was one of my secret items that I've been keeping. And it's all proof. When you watch, I don't know if he even took the pack of cigarettes out of his pocket, but you might have been able to see them in his pocket. I have to go back and look at that. But, so that is an exciting overview of vintage 1991 film production in Central Florida for my girl. And like I said, it's a good movie. If you've never seen it, it is entertaining. There's a lot of sentimental stuff about it if you grew up during that time. You'll see things that remind you it's like when you were a kid and all. And plus it's got some sad stuff, so go ahead and film yourself getting all teary-eyed and everything at the sad parts, but don't expect me to watch it. But anyway, yeah, so many things popped up at the same time, and it's like, well, I gotta get in on this meat. And I got my giant VHS tape out and all that, and I got my friends out, and and so here we are. But it's something I thought, well, this is a good time to share that and do a little Look Dat exclusive material. And you might see some more Look Dat behind the scenes kind of stuff this year. You probably will. I don't know exactly what on, but there's always movies and stuff coming around that is fun and exciting to talk about. Big ones and small ones. And so we'll see. Put all this stuff back in I forgot to wear my white gloves. Because I have to archive all this, re-archive it. I have to check it out and sign it out and everything, and I got to check it all back in and put it back down into the secret Look Dat vault annex. And so I'm going to be doing that. But thank y'all for watching. And from me and my friends here, on our time travel back to 1991, we're wishing you a happy day. Don't get all teary-eyed. I know that seeing us go is getting kind of sad. You don't want to get all teary-eyed. But anyway, I get emotional sometimes. But anyway, we'll see what happens next time when you tune in to Look Dat.